All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Xtreme Memories with Kris Kloss right here on the Wrestling Chatter channel. My guest this time on the show is none other than one of the greats. You've seen him in XPW, of course. That's what we're talking about today. But you've also seen him in ECW. You've seen him in WWE, MTV's Wrestling Society X, amongst a plethora of promotions around the country and, dare I say, the world. I'm talking about none other than Chris Hamrick, Confederate Currency.
No, we ain't going there.
We ain't going there.
High flying Chris Hamrick. We'll go
there you go. Okay, that's the name from the past. Yes. High flying Chris Hamrick. Chris, it's been a long time, man, since you and I have seen each other talk. So thank you so much for joining us. Really interesting having you on as a guest, and very interested talking to you about your stint primarily, specifically in XPW, Extreme Pro Wrestling. And fans, don't forget, like, comment, share this, subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter channel. We're going to have all sorts of content coming at you, not only from Extreme Wrestling, but a lot of shows here on the Wrestling Chatter channel. And of course, Xtreme Memories, the 15th and 30th of every month, new episodes on Xtreme Memories. So Chris Hamrick, you came into XPW. XPW was already kind of rolling. It was on television. It was producing home videos at this point in time. Before we get into that, though, tell us a little bit about your background, Chris, how you broke in to the business of pro wrestling.
My dad bought me a ring for my 9th birthday and set it up in the yard, and I practiced moves, and I had a big teddy bear that I practiced shit on. And I mean, I could do the moves, but when I started wrestling, I didn't know where to do them or why it made any sense. And then when I met Ricky Morton, he kind of took me under his wing and showed me, you know, the psychology of putting moves in the matches and all.
That's right. That's great. So now you started with about 16 years old, you say?
15 years old. I had my first match.
15 years old. Wow. Wow. So, okay. So you definitely have had your experience. After you were training, what was your first, like, let's say, promotion you worked for that maybe wasn't
the Italian Stallion and George South had their little promotion called PWF, and they would run every Friday and Saturday, sometimes Sundays, and like the furthest from the house would be like 2 hours. So I didn't get rich, but I had fun and I made a little money, you know. And at the time, hell, I hadn't heard nothing about no money because I was, you know, I wasn't in it that long.
Right, right. So now you talked a little bit about ECW, your ECW experience. How was that? And what year was that you got picked up by ECW?
2000.
2000.
Yeah, Kid Cash told me that he'd give me a tryout with ECW, and I'm like, okay. And he did, and then me and Easy Money went and did a tryout match in Columbia, South Carolina. And that night, you know, we were sitting there getting dressed, and Dreamer comes up and he goes, "First match, Chili Willie and Kid Cash against Cash's two boys." And I went, "Holy shit, we're working?" He's like, "Yeah." And so we did the match, and Tommy told us, you know, to keep coming back if it was profitable for us. And we kept going back, and then probably 3 months later, he said, "I can't afford to fly you in. You're not going to make a lot of money, but consider yourself full-time employed by ECW."
Oh, wow. So that was in 2000. Now, before you did that, Chris, you were also featured in some WWE matches. Owen Hart, Razor Ramon, what was it, Jeff Jarrett? Am I missing somebody?
Tatanka.
Okay.
The Smoking Guns, Quang. And, oh, yeah, Bob Holly.
And Bob Holly?
Yeah, he's with Sparky Plug. I'm sorry.
Sparky Plug. That's Thurman Sparky Plug. Absolutely. So how was that experience? Because I felt like when I was watching those matches, and, you know, of course I saw those back in the day before you and I knew each other personally. But when I relived those matches after I'd known you, it was kind of cool because they allowed you to do some of your kind of like your trademark spots, you know, the jumping through the ropes the way you did that so great, and also not too many people really ever kind of did the moves you did, certain moves that you did. So they allowed you, I feel like, to have a little bit of carte blanche to do these things that normally enhancement talent workers weren't allowed to do, or weren't, really given that freedom of a platform to showcase some of the little things that they have in their own personal repertoire. And you were able to do that. So it's kind of cool watching that, especially now looking back at that, seeing that. And did you kind of feel that too? Like you were getting a little bit more freedom than other enhancement talent?
No, because like back in, this was in 94, 93, 94. Yeah. And honestly, they didn't even look at you back then. They, if you showed up with the promotion, like Italian Stallion, George South got us a book. And so they would put us in the ring, play without seeing us or anything. And so this is how funny it was, is I just met Tatanka on the Indies before he went to WWF.
Right.
And so I get there, and he comes in. He goes, "Yeah, I'm working you, right?" And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "We'll put a match together, put a beginning together. I gotta go talk out the sixth man, and we'll come back and talk about it later." So I actually put the beginning of our match together, and then I asked him. I said, "Hey, I'll do this bump," which is kind of stupid, but it'd be all right. And he's like, "Yeah, man, we'll do it." And I did it. And the thing that people don't know is this was before double feature. Vince McMahon himself told me that if you'll watch the original match of me and Tatanka, they'll show it again in slow motion during the match. And Vince McMahon told me, he said, "We've never done that before." And then, like, maybe, I don't know, 3 months later, you come up with double feature.
Wow. And hey, it's something they use to this day quite frequently.
Yeah, I should get a check every time there's one.
I mean, it's amazing because not only, like you said, not only did that idea kind of like the origins come from something you were involved in, but again, something that's basically become part of the way they produce things, the way they showcase things, and again, still used to this day as a mainstay, as a staple, and how they present their product. So very interesting. Never would have known that. So you got your break going there, but again, this is of course before ECW. You went to ECW in 2000, and we're talking 94 here that you were enhancement talent in WWE. Did that prepare you? Do you think, Kris? Being there in WWE, even though you had a few matches, it was on such a large platform. Did that prepare you, just that short stint you had there? Do you think that prepared you for going into other companies that were on television, ECW, XPW, even later on, Wrestling Society X? Did that WWE experience do something?
Honestly, no, because, and this is going to make me sound bad, but I consider bookings just another booking. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really didn't get excited. I mean, I love being in ECW. Love being in XPW, but like to say the WSX thing, to me, that was no big deal. It's just another booking. I mean, I'm going to go out and do what I do naturally because that's what I do. But to me, it was just, hey, it's another booking, it's another payday, another chance for me to get to show out what I do. So, but it really never registered to me, how big it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of true. It's like when we were doing WSX, I mean, XPW as well, but WSX was just a totally different animal as far as a production aspect, and Viacom and MTV being involved. It was, you could feel it when you were there on the set. But at the end of the day, you're right. You, the referees, myself, like, we're just basically doing the same thing we would if we were go at the Boys and Girls Club or in any other arena, whatever. So I understand what you mean by that. Like, what are we doing differently?
It's funny because Kevin Kleinrock called me and wanted me to come in a night early to practice a battle royal. And I went, yeah, I'm not coming in early to practice a battle royal. You tell me when you want me in, when you want me out, who's throwing me out, and we'll go from there. I'm pretty sure I can handle a battle royal. I
remember that. I remember those rehearsals that they wanted. And yeah, it was just like, it reminds me of there's a couple interviews that Jesse Ventura did, and he talked about how, like when they did Saturday Night's Main Event in NBC, they were on a major network. They wrote all these scripts out and everything, and Jesse was like, "You're going to write for me? I've been doing this for how many years?" And NBC just now got on board, and they're going to tell me how to talk as a wrestling announcer that know nothing of wrestling. And they're like, "You know what? You're right. Throw it out." So we kind of had that same experience with MTV and Viacom and all that. They all of a sudden wanted us to rehearse and do all these other things that we already basically know how to do. And that's why I talk to people all the time. It was like so bittersweet being on a network, a big platform, but then the bitter part of having to work with that network that doesn't know anything about wrestling generally. Did you find that experience too when you were working at WSX? Did you feel that a little bit?
I was only there for the premiere show. And
yeah.
Hell, all I had to do was go in the ring, get thrown out by a New Jack, then go to a table, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was like the quickest, what you call it, introduction to a feud ever. It was like maybe a 3-second clip of you guys like John backstage, and then announcing your guys' history in the ring, and it's all probably a span of like 12 seconds, but it told the story at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, so it might be a record there, Kris, you and New Jack, as far as feud.
Anytime I can do anything with New Jack, I'm not complaining. I love New Jack.
Yeah. We reached out to him, so hopefully one day he'll want to be on the show too. So let me ask you this, Kris. Now you were in Heatwave in the year 2000. I mean, you were in ECW in the year 2000. So where were you during the whole ECW Heatwave incident and event? Because that was between ECW and XPW for you.
Right. The whole thing with Heatwave was we'd been wrestling New Jack. Me and Easy Money had been wrestling New Jack and Cash. And New Jack called me over before Heatwave, and he goes, "Hey," he said, "I talked to Paul Heyman, then told him I'll do it." He said, "Either you or Jason will wrestle Cash. I'll hit the ring. We'll, beat your ass a little bit. Then y'all gonna handcuff Cash to the ropes and leave me laying in a puddle of blood." He said, "That's gonna take y'all from here to here in one night." And he said, "I done told Paul I'll do it." And I know that they had done it because Paul's like, "Hey, I'm working on getting y'all plane tickets to California." And then if you'll remember, some mark pushed New Jack off the balcony like a week before the pay-per-view. He broke his ankle. So it killed everything that we worked for, and there's no sense taking us there.
Wow, missed opportunity right there, I guess. But
big time.
Yeah. No, I if I heard that, I don't know if I remember that, but I don't think I heard that before, Kris. You and New Jack, but I know you guys worked very well together. The times I seen you, not only in WSX, but so now when you saw the whole event unfold with Heatwave, what were your thoughts when you saw like the whole? I was involved in it, and I've talked about this to death on this podcast, but and primarily because people have been asking about it still. But what were your thoughts on that when you found out?
Well, you have two ways of thinking. You think, okay, well, it takes balls for SPW to do that. And then in a workers thing, you're like, well, they disrespected the main event, especially Dreamer, because, he was the heart of ECW. So you kind of had mixed feelings about, it was cool to do it, but it was cool not to do it during the main event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It definitely got SPW talked about, and it definitely made SPW the heels of the wrestling community.
Yeah. We're gonna hopefully kind of have an episode on that, just kind of talking about that. But yeah, there's you could look at it both ways, So, but nonetheless, you're talking now 2000. You're talking not too long from now, you're going to join up with XPW. What year was that? Exactly what month do you remember? And how did that come about?
I don't remember exactly what month. It was the deal where we did the Battle Zone Battle Royal.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me just say that during the heat wave, I'm sitting at home watching it, and I saw Chris and this, and I'm like, holy fuck, she's hot. And we'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm gonna tell you how I got the SPW. New Jack come to me at a show one day, and he said, "Hey, if you can get your way out to California, so I'll get you a shot with SPW." And I went, "Okay." So I actually had a money mark that bought me a ticket, and she sent me out there. And I don't think y'all knew I was coming because nobody would ever tell me anything. And finally, New Jack's like, "You know what? I'm gonna go find out what the fuck you doing." And then he went out doing, "What the hell's my boy doing?" And then the next thing I knew, I was in the battle royal.
Do you remember? Was that at the Grand Olympic Auditorium?
I want to say yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. So you basically came in, Chris, and that was 2002. Is that correct?
Yeah, I like that.
I think it was, if I remember correctly. I'm sure people, if I'm wrong, I know you're going to correct me, blah, blah, blah. So I apologize in advance if I'm wrong on that. But let's say 2002. Now, this was kind of like we're already established. XPW's on television. It's syndicated throughout the country, North America, not in every city, but in a lot of different cities on America One Network, syndicated network. It's all over in pockets, right? So, and we're also doing home videos, but this is also a time, Chris, is that we are transitioning. We're gonna head back where you're from. You came from the East Coast. Now XPW's going back with you, basically, in a sense, but not to your hometown. But we're going to we're just gonna start doing shows in Philadelphia, and this is at a time when there's some controversy going on, of course, with XPW, with Rob Black, and all that. But talk a little bit about first what you thought when you heard about that XPW is going to the old ECW Arena, buying the old ECW Arena, and then but at the same time expanding ourselves.
Kevin Kleinhardt called me because I was middle office, and he goes, "Hey, we're coming to the East Coast." I went, "Please tell me you're not coming to the arena." He goes, "Yep, that's the plan." I went, "Well, why wouldn't it be?" I said, "We're already heels. Let's just fucking be the biggest heels we can be." But if you think about it, I mean, even though we were the heels of the wrestling community and everybody talked shit or whatever, we had over 1,100 people that first show.
Oh, I'd say at least, yeah. That was a good crowd, man.
And they were into it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, they didn't sit there and they didn't try to, shit on it or whatever. I mean, yeah, you're going to have your smart marks there waiting for somebody to fuck up so they can be the attention of the crowd. But, I mean, they were into the matches, and, the matches were good.
Right. Yeah, no, it was. And it was, and I think everyone delivered there. And now I also want to talk about what you did on that first show. And then I think this is when you really begin to kind of plant your feet in the company and truly shine, because I always talk about that feud that you had with Kaos. And this is a feud for the television title. You guys had some damn good matches. That first ladder match was unbelievable. Talk about that, working with Kaos. Shout out to Joey at the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy. He's doing some great work there. Some young talent
he's
coming.
Putting out some stars, ain't he?
I'm sorry?
He's putting out some stars from that school.
And rightly so, man, because he took from the legendary Dynamite D a big part of his repertoire. So the kind of like the tradition continues in this region of the country as far as, training for professional wrestling. The origins came out of a place called Slammers Wrestling Gym, which we mentioned a lot on this show. But yeah, absolutely, Chris. Nothing but love to Joey. But talk a little bit about that feud you had with him, because I felt you guys matched up very well together. Totally opposite backgrounds. From two separate parts of the country, yet you guys in so many ways were so similar in the ring.
Man, Joey was good. He was damn good. And this is not to take away from the California homegrown talent, but I think as far as homegrown, he stood, steps and bounds above everybody. He was very well. I was glad to be in the feud with him. I ain't gonna lie. The gauntlet match, he was already tired from Angel, but we made it work. You know what I'm saying? Like I bumped my ass off for him. And I heard him on here one day telling about the time that I wrote down the match or whatever. He forgets to tell that he had 2 other matches that night, and I knew that he wouldn't get a lot of time to talk to me. So I kind of gave him a rundown of what the match should be. So, but yeah, I love working Joey. I think they should put a title on. No, I'm just kidding. The ladder match, I like the ladder match, okay, but I thought I bumped like a bitch, but everybody's their own worst critic. I think that I could have done a little better, but it was what it was. The only spot that I hated was we did the thing to where we're at the top of the ladder. I hit his head. He takes a bump, and instead of grabbing the belt, I did like a leg drop off the 12-foot ladder.
Right.
It missed. So, and people up there like, grab the belt. And I'm like, well, wouldn't this just piss Joey off if I grabbed it? But I didn't. I was like, well, I kind of felt stupid after that, just because we didn't think about it when we called it.
Right. No, those matches, I could still watch them back. They definitely stand the test of time, for sure. And like I said, you guys, and that crowd popped. They didn't know what to expect with that match. Like you said, that crowd was good. They were hot. I'm talking primarily the first show, Hostile Takeover, and that match specifically. But if you go back and watch that match, fans, Hostile Takeover, XPW Hostile Takeover from Philadelphia, Chris Hamrick versus Kaos for the TV title match, and ladder match, unbelievable. And then you had some great matches after that too, not just with Joey, but others as well.
Hang on, I won't tell you one funny story. This involves Hack, okay? The show's already set, and the matches, with Joey's already set. Probably 2 weeks before we're on an independent show, Sandman comes up to me and says, yo, ECW's coming, SPW's coming to the arena. I can get you on that show. And I went, Hack, I'm on that show. I said, I'm in like the semi-main event in a ladder match with Kaos for the TV title. He goes, you sure? And I went, that's what the posters say. He goes, okay, well, never mind.
Wow. So Sandman was definitely, Hack was definitely up on his XPW knowledge at that time, apparently, man.
Yeah, we had already been on shows probably 2 or 3 months together, on the same plane together a couple times. So, yeah, but you got to love Hack.
Yeah, that's.
And then he tells me, "Do you remember? I don't even know if you remember this. I had a match with The Walk,
right? Yeah,
and it was horrible,
right?
And Hack never let me fucking forget it. Because when I come back in the locker room, he goes, "Yo, what the fuck was that?" He goes, "You let him call the match, didn't you?" I went, "Yeah." He goes, "This sucked." So then, like the next week, he, we'll get there or whatever. He goes, "Hey, I saw your match with The Wall on TV." I said, "Did it look as bad as you thought it did?" "Yeah, it sucked."
That's awesome, man. That's great. What was it like for you, Kris? Like the atmosphere in the XPW locker room compared to other promotions you worked for and earlier in your career and after too?
So here's the thing about the difference between ECW and XPW when I was there. To me, I went in with the old school mentality at ECW, like that I need to make these guys look to earn my spot. You know what I'm saying? Because that used to be the way guys did. You went in and you didn't try to do everything you could do. We did a little at a time to try to earn your spot to where you could be able to do your shit. And that was stupidity on my part because ECW had the mentality of top this if you can. And with XPW, I felt a little more at ease to where I could do my shit. Right. And to me, it made a difference because to me, and I loved it. And, I loved ECW, but I'm going to tell you, I had just as much fun in XPW. I really did.
Yeah, I kind of share those sentiments too.
Made a lot more money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. And, It's funny. So many guys say that. Like I had Luke Hawks on, and he was saying, of all the things he's done, like never has he had more fun and it was more interesting working for XPW than even when he did stuff with WWE or doing movies and all that and other promotions. It was just different, and it was different.
So here's the thing, too, man. Is if you think about it, when y'all came to the East Coast, we had a bunch of ECW guys. Yep. And the thing about it is 2 years earlier, there's the fucking greatest thing on pay-per-view. But now that you're working for XPW, oh, they're all shit. They've lost their step. They're no good. They need to stop. It's just fucking stupid. It's the same guys doing the same fucking moves. Just because it was with another company, fans want to fucking shit on them. That's stupidity. It's just prime example. Because I got Kevin to get Mad Dog and Josh Prohibition. And, when they were in CW, they were the greatest things ever. But then once they jumped to SPW, oh, they're shit. They should have never been in. I'm like, what the fuck ever? You can't please everybody. And, some people are just stupid. Some people are like, oh, well, it's run by porn. Who the fuck cares where the money comes from? If you've got a guy willing to take money out of his fucking pocket and bring you a fucking show that you could be, proud of, why the fuck do you care where the money comes from or whatever?
It's funny you say that, Chris, because one of the things about Rob Black personally that I understood was that he got shit on by a lot of people. And like you said, oh, this company's run by a porn person, or this guy himself, Rob Black, is such a disgusting person. He puts out porn. All those people that are saying that most likely look at porn.
Right.
I mean, it's the number one thing on the internet worldwide. So it's that hypocrisy right there. Like you are complaining about a wrestling company, pro wrestling, right? It's not Sunday school. It's pro wrestling. And this is run by a porn guy. It's not like a church is run by porn. Come on, it's wrestling. And again, yeah, it's true. It's like these are like 18 to 35-year-old guys that are complaining about porn. Yeah, right. So
yeah, they're stupid. I remember Rob talking to me one night. He goes, everybody thinks I want to be the next ECW. He goes, I don't. I just want to run a respectable wrestling show that the fans want to see.
Yeah. I know he, at the end of the day, that's what he wanted, whether people agreed with him or not. Why else would he be there running a wrestling company, But no, it's always good to hear insight on backstage XPW because it was different.
When he used the word extreme, everybody automatically, connected ECW to it. And I ain't gonna lie, the first time I saw an SPW show, and I couldn't tell you what year it was, every match was hardcore, and I'm like, yeah, this is never gonna get over because you're just seeing bloodshed every match. Mm-hmm. And then once Shane took over, I mean, there was some good fucking wrestling matches there. You had the what was it, 4-way with Johnny Storm, Joey Matthews,
yep,
Jerry Lynn, maybe,
yep,
and I forget who, but I mean, wow, what great fucking matches SPW produced too now.
It's funny because you're right. Primarily in the early days, I mean, that was kind of like what was going on. It was the Attitude Era. It was ECW. It was people were starting to get wind of finally people mainstream wise in wrestling. You didn't have to dig for tapes to watch the old Japanese style death matches, so that was starting to take hold. And that was just the time, the late 90s and all that. But you're right. Once things started to kind of evolve, oh my goodness, like some great matches to the point too where I myself was like, like what the hell are half these moves called as an announcer? Like, that's right. I got to get, so it wasn't as simple calling the matches anymore with you guys. You guys made it hard for us in announcement sometimes, but that's good. That's the product. You want to step the game up, and also you want to have a variety.
Right. It's like a menu. You want to give them a little taste of everything.
Totally.
And SPW, once they came to the arena, they did.
Yeah. I think people, like you said, Chris, like yeah, there's a lot of things that don't make sense as far as like, okay, you're gonna hate on porn, you watch porn, but oh, I don't, it's kind of like this, you want to have this a little bit of a like your nose up in the air, your perception of other people.
It was the only thing they could hold against him. That was the main thing that they could hold against Rob. Oh, well, he owns a porn company. Hell no, I'm not going to watch wrestling. It's just another something to dig at it because he did the, that string bullshit.
It's funny now too because ECW, it came out later. Like people didn't know at the time, but they were heavily working with the WWE. Yet they were presented as this like anti-establishment independent company. But years later, it's like, well, actually, no, they were really working with WWE. So they weren't this anti-Big Brother company that they were presenting to the fans, but they had to present it that way to the fans for that company to get over in that sense.
There's a lot of shit that Paul kept from the boys.
Right. Yeah, and XPW was truly that independent company that people strive to want to like. They want to like the anti-establishment, and XPW truly was that company, but people just didn't know it back in the day. And, they didn't know that they were really supporting WWE in a sense, that nothing wrong with supporting WWE, but some of those fans were so anti that they didn't realize that that's what they were doing at the time. And yet they were hating on a company that, and they were hating on a company that truly was independent, XPW. So these are the things that people start to talk about today and kind of, I don't say changing their mind, but talking to people about like the whole Heatwave incident, like, oh, that was actually kind of cool that you guys did that. Now that I know that they were really just a WWE promoted company, and all this stuff. So it's kind of interesting how as time goes on, perceptions and opinions change on these things, which kind of makes sense. It's nice to see that personally. But nonetheless, Kris, so we're going into now you're teaming up, and I want to bring up, unfortunately, not too long ago, we lost a legend, man. We lost the great Tracy Smothers. And you, of course, teamed up with Tracy in XPW, the team of Southern Comfort. And you guys had a great run, and you guys were just perfect together, right? And
we were.
Yeah, I think it was a great team. You had, of course, Tracy was a little bit more experienced than you. Not much, though, right?
No, not a whole lot more.
No, but so you guys basically came in there, Southern Comfort. It worked. It was in some ways, even back then, it was a little bit of a throwback to like the old tag teams, but it still was fresh. It was new at the same time. And you guys had, again, like you said, euthanasia, cross, and you guys had some great matches there. Talk a little bit about Southern Comfort. Talk a little bit about the late great Tracy Smothers and your experiences and with the tag team working with them.
Okay, do you know how that started?
I think once you tell me, I'll remember, but I can't off the top of my head.
Kevin Kleinrock called me and told me that he wanted to team me and Johnny Webb up.
Oh, right, yeah, right.
No disrespect to Johnny Webb, but I didn't really know him. I didn't, and I was on the show with Tracy, and I'm like, hey, Tracy, I said, do you have heat with SPW? He's like, no, man, Rob Black loves me. And I went, so I called Kevin right there, and I went, hey, what about Tracy Smothers? Me and Tracy being a tag team. He goes, all right, let me run it by Rob. And, they both agreed to it, and that's how it happened.
Wow. So then, okay, so Southern Comfort was established, you and Tracy, probably, like you said earlier in the interview, Kris, today, maybe a little controversial, that tag team wearing the Dixie stripes and all that. but even back then it was borderline, you know what I mean? But it was wrestling. It was more looked at like, this is the heritage of Southern wrestling and all this stuff. But a little bit on the line right there in the early 2000s, but it still flew. It still was okay. But nonetheless, how was it working with him in XPW? And how long did you guys know each other before you teamed up in XPW?
Oh, man, I just met him. I I used to do enhancement talent for Smoky Mountain, and he was up there.
Oh, right.
And I
Yeah.
worked a couple of times up there. And then I would run into him on the indies. So, I mean, we were like best friends or nothing, but we were, like I said, we was on the show together, and I was like, man, he'd be great in XPW with me. And like I said, no offense to Johnny Webb, but I didn't really know him, and I didn't think that we would click. And I'd rather have something that I had something in common with.
Right.
And I just ran it by Tracy, and Tracy was like, yeah, man, if they'll do it, I'll do it. And I went, well, all right, let's make it happen. And so that's how it happened. And I love Tracy. I hated those fucking dance-offs, but I love Tracy. Oh, man, I hated those dance-offs. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, but look at hey, man, it worked. We're talking about it.
Oh, it got over. I mean, it was Tracy's trademark.
Totally.
But then we would do it to where he would do the dance-off and do all the fucking dancing, and I would sit there like I'm going to dance and then just shoot everybody a bird and tell them, fuck off, I don't dance.
Oh man, you had to like try to stop bust out laughing sometimes when he was doing that next to you.
Why even try to hide it? I should laugh. Everybody else was laughing. Why the fuck would I laugh?
That's great, man. Did you know at the time, Kris, that he had been in XPW? Because he was there in the year 2000 when Terry Funk and all that was there when we were at the LA Sports Arena in Los Angeles. Like, did you know he was a big part at that point?
I just knew that he had lost a loser leave XPW match to Kaos.
Yeah.
I knew he was there. I just didn't know what extent or how long or how big is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That I guess that slipped through the XPW officials and the championship committee. They forgot about that and they let him back in. I don't know how that happened, man, with all the
Shane was the new owner. That was under Rob Black's ownership.
Right, right. Yeah, so that was a little hole in the story for XPW storyline right there, that he actually came back. He was supposed to have left town, but okay, he came back, right? But yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you one of the final points of getting M Dog and Josh over is I call him, talk to him or whatever, and I'm like, he's like, well, who will we be working on? Well, you're probably in a thing with me and Tracy. He goes, done.
Yeah.
And just like when Justice Payne jumped over.
Totally.
I didn't know who Justice Payne was. I didn't realize how big a deal that was. But, I love Justice Payne.
Oh, he great, man. And him and Supreme, unbelievable. Yeah, he was awesome. Great guy too. He was always cool back, meeting him and all that. When you were, so you basically lasted all the way to the end of XPW 2003, because you were during that show. Was it a three-way match, tag team three-way? Was you, Euthanasia, Southern Comfort in Pittsburgh, right? I'm trying to remember who that third team was.
Kristen York and Danny Doran.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That another great match. That was a pretty unbelievable show, that last show on the East Coast in Pittsburgh. Big crowd, once again, huge crowd. So, it was kind of like, where did this come from? XPW stopping when it did, people, there's so much to it, because the crowds were still big, whether we were in LA or on the East Coast, so, we'll talk about more of that in the future, but share some memories, if you don't mind, Kris, because it was a big loss, a tragic loss. I personally love Tracy as well, even back meeting him in the early days, his early days in XPW. I know I shared this before, but like, he didn't have to help me out. I remember as just getting green as an announcer, going out to the ring, with the microphone when the show starts, and he would be the first one out. And he would ask me, like, who's the big sports team in this town, and who's this and that. Okay, you're going to be a fan of them. I'm going to hate them. We're going to argue, and you're the face, the good guy announcer, right? He's asking me all these questions. Like, yeah. He goes, okay, so this is going to put you over. I'm going to get over. And I'm like, God damn, dude, thank you. He just went the extra mile for something that wasn't even written down or planned out, so I always appreciate that. not only helping me, but wanting that segment, wanting the product to make sense and look good and help somebody out, whether it's an announcer, whatever, right? I want to share that because he always was like that, and when he came in,
did that for everybody that he thought was serious about the business or
right.
that, that wanted help. He did that to everybody. I try to do the same. I know who I can talk to and who I can't. If I'm talking to you, it's going in one ear and out the other, go fuck yourself. But if you show me that you're really wanting to learn, if you want me to watch a match, if you listen to the critique when I give it to you, and instead of just blowing it off like, well, who the fuck is he? What's he done? Google me, bitch. And then I'm not going to waste my breath trying to talk to you because whatever I tell you ain't going to be worth the fuck anyway because you already know everything there is to know about the business. Tracy always told me, he said, man, anytime you can help anybody, if they're serious, help them because it only makes wrestling a better place.
Completely. And the camaraderie backstage. People need to know that, we're one big team. We're like when you have a football team going against another football team, that's basically what we are. We're just one big team presented as we're working against each other. But no, we're a team, and you have to. If that team's happy, the show's going to be great, and like you said, the industry is going to flourish, and the product itself is going to flourish. So, I mean, he understood that.
You watch the matches and you hope that everybody performs well. Get behind the guys and show them that you're behind them. And then when they come back, show them something that didn't work or something that they, should never fucking try again or anything to help. Because it just makes the whole show better next time.
I mean, that was Tracy in a nutshell, and
that was his mentality. It really was.
Right, and he was doing that back in the the late '90s, early 2000s in XPW. Just wanted to talk to because Terry Funk, Shane Douglas, Chris Candido, Abdul the Butcher, big stars, Nosawa from Japan. All those guys were at the LA Sports Arena, but I remember Tracy kind of not necessarily needing to hang out with those guys. Like he wanted to talk to everybody, the homegrown guys and all that. And he also, I think, understood, again, like you said, that match he had with Kaos early on, loser leaves town. He kind of understood the importance of XPW, not just bringing in stars, having them go against each other and leave, and then we're just going to do our homegrown guys against each other. I think I remember him actually saying that, it's very important that we all mesh as one to get this product over. And had an early understanding about that and expressed that backstage. And this is coming from a guy that was already established. It's not like a homegrown guy is saying that because that's going to benefit him. No, this is a guy that's already established. He didn't need to say that one bit, and he's saying this to us, to the other guys coming in that were already established. Like, hey guys, this is not just another payday. Like, we're here to make this company work because it's going to benefit all of us and the business itself. So when you share that with me, Kris, about him wanting to make this business better, it immediately reminded me of his mindset with XPW, wanting it not to just be outsiders and insiders, but no, we're going to mesh as one to promote this organization.
Hey, do you remember the question and answer thing we did at the ECW Arena one time before? It was like in the morning time or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Like 11 o'clock or something.
Yeah, it was early. It was early.
Me and Tracy are sitting at the curtain. Tracy's eating tuna and a fucking drink, right? One of those health drinks, right?
Yeah.
I'm eating a chocolate fudge donut. He looks at me. He goes, "You never blow up, do you?" And I went, "Nah, not really." He goes, "I fucking hate you." And so then we went on to the thing. But yeah. Oh, and I'll tell you another story I bet you don't know. Is the last SPW show at Pittsburgh that didn't happen, that was going to happen.
Right.
Kevin Kleinrock calls me. I had a tour of England for 10 days. Clown Rock calls me. He goes, I need you to cancel that tour. And I went, excuse me? He goes, yeah. He goes, we're having a show at Pittsburgh. I went, yeah. I said, I don't think the company's going to close down if I miss one show. He goes, I need you at that show, Kris. I went, why the fuck do you need me at that show? He said, we're going to put the titles on you and Tracy, and we need you at that show. And I went, are you kidding me? I said, you're going to be canceled a 10-day tour to come to the show? I said, okay, because I'm a fucking middle office guy. I'll do it. And then like 2 weeks before my tour, he called and he said, well, XPW just closed. I went, excuse me? So I missed my fucking tour for nothing? He goes, well, I'll still pay you. And I went, oh, great. So I'm going to get one payday instead of 10? I said, what the fuck? And then I actually got the tour back anyway, so it worked out good. But, yeah, they were going to put the belts on me and Tracy from M-Dog, Josh.
Yeah, I do. That part I do remember. You guys are gonna be getting the titles, but I didn't know anything about that tour that you almost missed.
Yeah, I almost missed 10 days.
Whew. Wow, that doesn't happen.
I was going to do it because you know it was important to them, and I was like, okay, whatever, fuck the tour. And then Clown Rock, when he called me, he goes, well, I'll still pay you. And I went, oh, well, thanks. I only missed 9 other days. But, yeah, luckily I got it back, and everything was good.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see you guys as the tag. I mean, kind of like unofficially the last tag team champions on paper, at least, in XPW Southern Comfort. Tracy Smothers. Any other stories you could share, Kris, about Tracy? Because I'm sure there's people out there that would love to hear anything that you have to say about a legend that we fairly recently lost.
I would tell you 2 funny stories. We're wrestling night to night shows back to back, and we're babyface the one night, and me and him was arguing about who's going to take the heat. And he goes, all right, man, you take the heat tonight, and I'll take it tomorrow night. I went, all right, cool deal. Well, no problem. So after the match, he comes up, and he goes, oh, man, we heal tomorrow night. We ain't going to take no heat. No, son of a bitch. And then another time, I'm not really sure what happened, but he called me drunk, and I guess some indie fuck had told him a bunch of shit about me. And he cussed me out. He cussed me the fuck out. He said, you're only in it for yourself. You don't care about the team, blah, blah, blah. Well, like 3 weeks later, we're supposed to be in a tag match together. And I called the promoter and went, when I get there, you give me my money. Tracy Smothers says, when that thing got away from me, I'm out of there. I said, I'm not going to be known as getting my ass whooped in the locker room by Tracy Smothers. So I'm sitting there, and he walks in with a couple of guys. He tells them guys, he goes, hey, guys, let me be with you. I'll get with you in a minute. Hold on. And they come towards me, and I'm like, oh, fuck. So he looks at me. He goes, man, I can't. He said, I have no words. He said, I can't even express how sorry I am I did that. He goes, man, I'm sorry. And by that time, I was like, oh, God. I said, well, you know I'm about to shoot on you, right, Tracy? And we both started laughing, and it was over. So, but, yeah, Tracy, you know, he always told me, well, I mean, I'm sure he told this to everybody. He always told me I was his favorite tag partner.
You never know. You never know. You guys, like I said, it just worked. It wasn't just because you guys were wearing the same getup and it was had similar accents and all that. It was more than that. It was more than
we clicked together. We really did.
You could feel it too. Like you could feel it. Just again, no words were needed. You could the story that was told in the ring in pro wrestling. No words necessary. You know, and fans check out those matches in XPW. Not just with Chris Hamrick, the matches with Kaos, the TV title, and all that, but check out those matches with Southern Comfort, Tracy Smothers. And I'm sure people have right now, from what I've been hearing, as far as just like, you know, people wanting to see stuff with Tracy. But don't just stop there. Check out those XPW matches. Like Chris here said, there's a perception of XPW that it was only violent and hardcore. And yeah, it was in the beginning. But I think people got locked into that, not realizing that there were some good matches. There were some technical battles and all that. So, yeah, check those out. And let me ask you this, Kris. Speaking of memories about Tracy, we also unfortunately lost another legend, especially out here in SoCal, deathmatch legend for sure. Not only out here, but in Japan, Mexico, was supreme. And how was it working with him? And you have any stories about him and sharing a locker room with the Human Horror Film?
I really don't, because, and I hate to say this, I wish I would have took more time to hang out with the California guys. But as you know, in wrestling, there's kind of cliquish, and I hung out with New Jack and the ECW guys more than I did. You know, I hung out with Angel and Kaos, but I really didn't hang out with the other ones as much as I wish that I had. Because, I mean, Supreme seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about the clicks, but there were some bridges, like you said. I mean,
it's kind of like if you work them, you get a stronger bond with them. But if you don't work them, or if you're not in a program with them, then
right.
It's not as strong as it. Like, you know, we worked Angel and worked Kaos, so we kind of had a stronger bond with them than we did with, you know, like the other guys that we didn't have nothing to do with. I'm not that we didn't have nothing to do with it. We wasn't doing nothing with wrestling wise. Because you hang around the guys that you work more, because you're talking out your matches and you get to know them a little better. And once you're in the ring with them, you know, there's a different kind of bond that's formed between guys that work each other and the guys that are just in the locker room together.
Absolutely, man. And but you're right. I mean, the clicks happen, and I was going to say earlier, like, there are bridges. Like of course, I hung out with John, Angel, and Joey Kaos, and then that was that kind of like that bridge that there were a few times like we'd all be out, you know, with you and someone that you'd bring over. It's just unfortunately sometimes it takes that little bridge to divide these unnecessary clicks that just kind of happen. You know, it's not, you know, people talk about clicks in wrestling. It's clicks happen any job you have, right? And
I mean, naturally, if you're sitting in a locker room and you see 3 or 4 or 5 guys that you were in another company with, or that you know better than anybody else, naturally you're going to go to them instead of guys that you just met.
Right. Of course. Yeah. And,
I mean,
I
used to tell Angel all the time, because he'd show me shit that he was flying off of. He goes, "Well, what do you think about that, Hamrick?" I'm like, "I think you're gonna fucking die tonight. It's over. We're done."
Oh, dude, we had him on. I know you watched that episode, and it was like, I asked him straight up, like, how in the world did you not only die because of that? Like, how are you not in a wheelchair? He's very fortunate, you know, of course. And
there's not a lot of guys in wrestling that can out-bump me, but he's one of them, little fucker.
Yeah. He's Mick Foley level stuff, right? So yeah, absolutely. But nonetheless, so we talked a little earlier, Kris, about like Rob Black running the company, and then like kind of us, XPW, were the heels, and how ridiculous it was for people to hate on it because it was porn related. But that just goes to show you there, Kris, that like the word smart mark is kind of it doesn't really exist. It's just the word mark exists because if you're watching, you're a mark, whether it's smart or whatever you want to call smart, because at the end of the day, you're still treating a company like a heel. Just like in wrestling, you want to treat a wrestler like a heel. So you're reacting to this company like a wrestling fan, as a fan would react to a wrestler being a heel or a face, right? So
here's my definition of a smart mark. A smart mark is a motherfucker that goes to a show that's too scared to get in the fucking business because he's a pussy and scared to get hurt, but he wants to be the center of attention. So he's just waiting to holler, "You fucked up, boring," or something like that, to try to get the attention. And then if fans start getting along with him, then he thinks he's fucking over because he started the chant. So, you know, it's like I used to tell people at shows, motherfucker, if you're not walking through the curtain or you're not getting a payday at the end of the night, you're not a part of this fucking show. Sit down and let people enjoy it that want to watch it.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, they SPW was already the heels, and the porn thing was the biggest thing they could hold against Rob, and they jumped on it. So I mean, you know, if I've got some woman, well, okay, we used to have a money mark, right? And we'd like, where does she get the money at? I was like, I don't give a fuck if she's blowing people through the week. As long as she pays me on Saturday, I really don't give a fuck where the money's coming from. As long as somebody's taking their money and bringing a good wrestling show to you, then why the fuck are you going to complain about it?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of evolved in our industry and you know, for quite a few years now. But as far as personally, how did you get along with, and what were your thoughts personally, again, on the company CEO, Rob Black?
Well, it's funny because like the very first night that I did Battle Zone Battle Royal, it was funny because I remember Smiley calling a lot of my spots that I did in ECW, and I'm like, wow, this fucker knows who I am, right? And so I did the thing to where he's sitting on the top turnbuckle, and I did the leg drop off on Steve Rosano when he was sitting on top turnbuckle. And I remember walking in, and I introduced myself to Lizzie, and she's like, I said, you know, I'm just trying to get a job. She goes, are you the one that just did the leg drop off the other guy's shoulders when he sat on top turnbuckle? I went, yeah, that was me. She goes, well, you got a job. I went, all right, cool. So then, but yeah, I mean, I didn't get to hang out with Rob a lot, but what I did, I mean, he was a wrestling fan that had money that wanted to give good shows, the same as any other fucking promoter in the world.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when we talk about promoters, and like you just said, and I've done the same thing. We in the wrestling business, we kind of like say disparagingly, like, you know, this guy, Rob Black, who ran it, or any other promoter, like, he's a wrestling fan, but he had money and he did this. It's like any promoter was a fan. Everybody
was a
fan. I'm sorry?
Any wrestler's a fan. I mean,
yeah, and I remember like one time I want to say it was the late Chris Candido when we were in the locker room, and some guys were kind of snickering back and forth and calling each other marks, and Chris just stood up. He said, "Guys, just shut the F up. We are all fucking marks back here. Every one of us is a mark. Just shut the hell up, man." You know, and he's like, "Dude, he's right. We're all marks, man." You know, so. Why would we be here? You know, so it's just funny how that's looked at as kind of like a low brow or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, this guy who's running the show. Yeah. What about him? He's a wrestling fan. Like, it's just ridiculous. You know?
If he was a wrestling fan, he would be in the fucking business.
Exactly. So I think like when you're bringing up the smart mark and other fans taking themselves too seriously, sometimes we have to just step back and realize I'm sorry?
Laugh at them.
And laugh at them, right? Because that's all it is humorous.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm a smart mark, and I'm gonna pay. I don't know what XPW tickets cost, but I'm gonna pay so and so dollars to go laugh at somebody that's on the show making good money. And so who's the fucking idiot there?
Right. Exactly, man. It's amazing, man. And, you know, we talked also too after XPW, of course, you shared a little bit.
What went on the reunion shows, by the way?
That's right. Dude, you got, hey, that's a Kevin Kleinrock question, my friend. I was
fucker.
Yeah, man. Ask him, because I was a producer on, I was associate producer on Wrestling Society X, but I didn't get credited there for Cold Day in Hell or those reunion shows. So Kevin Kleinrock, you got some answering to do, my friend, if you're watching out there. But
actually, I think, and I may be, because I've taken a lot of chair shots, you know, before it was cool to block them. I think I remember New Jack trying to get, I want to say me and Tracy, because I wrestled New Jack his debut match as the Gangsters in Smoky Mountain. And he wanted me to wrestle his last match in XPW, but it just didn't work out or something. I think I remember something about that.
Right. Yeah, that was well, again, speaking of New Jack, you guys did carry it in after XPW. We already talked briefly in the beginning of the show, though, about Wrestling Society X, but and you were there. You were there for the pilot, which was the highest rated show, of course. It was the inaugural show, the WS.
Of course it was.
Of course it was, right. It's no different than like when the XFL
and I didn't have to practice a battle royal.
Yeah, those rehearsals they wanted us to do, and myself included, like they wanted us, you know, again, it goes back to that Jesse Ventura thing where it was like we had prediction people come up and, what are you going to say when this happens in the match? It's like, I don't know. I'm going to watch it and say what I see. That was it. So it was like, again, bittersweet. We had this unbelievable platform worldwide. We were on more, we were on in more homes than Monday Night Raw because MTV was bigger at that time than USA Network and all that. So it was bittersweet. You know, we had that platform, but it was kind of micromanaged a little bit, especially going into the office. But we worked there, and of course XPW. You know, just before we close out here, Kris, I just want to say, first off, thank you for coming on. I'm
thank
sure
you for having me. Seriously.
Yeah, man. Well, no, thank you, because a lot of fans want to hear what you have to say, and thank you too, man, for sharing the stories about the late great Tracy Smothers, because I know a lot of people wanted to hear that, especially you teaming up with him.
It's funny because, like, I've been in the business for 34 years, and it's still funny to hear somebody say fans, because why the fuck would I have fans? You know, I'm like, whatever.
You do, man. You do. Just watch. Just go on. Just guys, if you haven't seen Chris Hamrick, watch his footage, and you will get even more fans, Mr. Hamrick. So thank you so much, my friend, for joining us. But I'm Kris Kloss.
And I'm Jerome Young.
That's right. But we only had room, apparently, for one Chris, and that's Kris Hamrick, not Kris Kloss, on this show today. Kris, thank you so much for joining us right here at the Wrestling Chatter channel for Xtreme Memories. Don't forget to join in, like, share, comment, subscribe, and anything you want to plug, Kris, before we go.
No, George, I think I'm pretty good. Like I said, I love doing these. I love talking about stuff that you don't think about until somebody brings it up. I fucking love this SPW. I ain't gonna fucking lie. Yeah, I had a blast there. I really did. And I hope I made, a little impact there. So
you did. And I had a blast there too. I also had a blast talking to you today, Kris. So again, sir, thank you so much. We'd love to have you back on in the near future. And let's stay in touch, as we say in the wrestling business, right?
Thank you for watching Xtreme Memories, hosted by Kris Kloss. He's dropping new episodes every month on the 15th and 30th. You can be the first to tune in by subscribing to the Wrestling Chatter channel right here on YouTube. See you next time.